Giants 38, Colts 10. Welcome to Talking Giants presented by John Boy Media. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And we're celebrating the playoffs. The Giants lock up the 6th seed with a blowout win versus the Colts. They are locked into that 6th seed, so they'll be facing the number 3 seed 2 weeks from now in the wild card. Justin, we came into this game asking for a win. This is a game they should have won. And not only did they win, they dominated from not start to finish, but they dominated to the finish.
Yeah, and they did it in front of their home crowd too, which, man, do we deserve that? You know, all those fans that, you know, either you make the trek out once a year or you make the trek out to MetLife Stadium 8, 9, 10 times a year if you include preseason games. Man, did Giants fans deserve to see this at home, and, you know, us wearing blue and getting all excited. And from start to finish, MetLife Stadium was really a party today. It was so fun to be a part of, and Bobby Skinner, we deserve this, man. We really do. And for me, this isn't even just a, wow, the Giants won this game against the Colts and it was a really great game. Clinching the playoffs has me really looking at, like, and reflecting on how far that we've come. This is like a how far that we've come moment. Forget winning games. The last 2 years, when it got into like the month of December and January, you know, not only were we looking to maybe win games, but we weren't even sure if we were going to score points. And we weren't even sure what this year was going to hold, you know, this 2022 season. We had no idea what it was going to hold. The regular season is going to end with Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, the New York Football Giants, and us going to the playoffs. Bobby Skinner, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm amazing, man. And, you know, we're gonna talk about, like, if, you know, our whole, like, if they made the playoffs, what went right scenario. But, man, I remember even going back to training camp practices, and we look at how efficient Daniel Jones is, and we're gonna talk a lot of Daniel Jones in this episode, obviously. But it's like, you remember coming away from those training camp practices, like, this does not look good, man. Like, there were like multiple days where they're completing like 25% of their passes in practice.
It was bad.
And DJ's missing guys with, like, and it's just like, man, this is brutal right now. I don't know, this offense does not look like it's going to look good. And to now where it's like DJ just operates flawlessly, like, this offense, you know. They've done so much, you know, the first playoff since 2016. This will be the first non-Eli playoff game since 2002, which will be weird. Like, that's cool. That's something I wrote down the line in my notes. I'll just say it now with Daniel Jones, like, because we're going to talk a lot about Daniel Jones and very positively. I'm excited to see that kid in the playoffs. I really am. Like, I like what he's made of, and this year he's put it together, you know, with good coaching, and he is a player where, like, I'm not worried about him in the playoffs. I'm worried that guys will let him down in the playoffs. Like, I am excited to see what number 8 does in the playoffs, because I really think he's the kind of guy that's made for that type of shit. You know, even at Duke, like, I remember him playing Clemson, you know, that game. You look back at the score and the stats, and you're like, oh, he didn't play well in that game. Go watch that game versus Clemson, you know, and that was Clemson at their peak. And he was getting lit up, play after play after play, still delivering throws, and guys were dropping passes. You know, whether it was, you know, him scrambling to the left, throwing the ball 45, 50 yards downfield, a dime, wide receiver drops it. Like, so I'm very excited to see him in, like, the toughest of moments, because this is where you really find out a lot about a lot of players.
Yeah, and the thing with Jones is how much adversity has he gone through in his career? I mean, you already mentioned at Duke, you know, all the adversity, you know, that he went through there. And I think, you know, I hate to do this, but this is what, you know, him and a Super Bowl winning quarterback like Eli Manning, this is what they have in common, is that they're able to take these hits, whether it's the physical hits or whether it's the hits of how many coaches did, you know, has Daniel Jones gone through, how many play callers has he gone through, how many wide receivers is he throwing to, how many times have offensive linemen gone in and out over the course of, you know, of his first 4 years of his career. And the dude just keeps fighting back, and he's getting better. He's not getting worse. You know, he's getting better as time goes on, and, you know, he's always just been a guy that's so easy to root for, and, you know, we're reaping the benefits of it right now, and he is operating really flawlessly. Like we talked about, I think it was it after the Washington game, Bobby, where we said, like, he just has really good command of the offense.
Yeah.
If he had really good command of the offense, then what does the last 2 weeks mean?
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks he's just been, like, the last 2 weeks he's balling. The whole year he's been playing just well, and doing everything like that the offense is asking out of him.
Right, but they're giving him the tools, I feel like, these last 2 weeks, and it's very cool and interesting to see that they let him do it the second week in a row, because the Colts defense, I know the Colts are bad. They definitely were packing it in. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong in Indianapolis right now, but the Colts defense is better than Minnesota's defense, especially, the Colts passing defense is better than the Vikings pass defense. Vikings pass defense is the worst in the league. It was cool to see the coaching staff give him the tools to be successful by letting him kind of throw in early downs, and also by, they were running him a little too much in the second half, in my opinion, but they gave him the tools to be successful, and man, was it just an awesome, productive, if points were going on the board today, it was because of Daniel Jones outside of the Landon Collins pick six.
And we asked the question, like, okay, we have a game where the Giants should win. Like, are they going to go back to some of their old stuff, or are they going to continue to put this offense in Daniel Jones' hands? Today is the answer. Like, they understand this. For this offense to be successful, it has to be through Daniel Jones.
Lo and behold, we're watching an NFL offense. That's what the last 2 weeks feels like. We're watching an actual NFL offense operate. Lo and behold, when you watch an NFL offense, usually those offenses let the quarterback be the ones they're the heartbeat of the offense. They're the ones that are driving the offense down the field. They're the reason why points are being put up on the board. And that's what we have seen over the last few weeks. Not just Daniel Jones playing extremely well, but the coaching staff letting Daniel Jones cook, do the things that he needs to do. I feel like I'm watching a competent NFL offense, and it's because the quarterback is the one that's running it.
Yeah, and today, 19 to 24, completed 79% of his passes. He had 5 incompletions. 2 were to Saquon, 1 was a drop. Other one was that, remember the first drive of the game where it was the third down, and it's like, he almost got intercepted. That was like a clear defensive pass interference where the linebacker just runs straight into Hodgins, and they don't call it. In this game, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, all on the ground game, 91 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Like you said, he was the offense, and in the running game, when they did hand the ball off, they did it well. They did it when it made sense, and that that led to success. This is 3 straight games of Saquon going over 4 yards a pop, which we were in a nasty like run where they were trying to force it to him, and it just was not working. Now they're letting the game come to Saquon. But Justin, with Daniel Jones overall, like, he's had a bad wide receiver court and not a great O-line, and he just continues to elevate others. Whether it's this game in the season, in 16 games with this unit, with this offensive line, he has 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. That's great numbers.
Do you remember the context around some of them? Like, let's try and go through them, because I think one was a David Sills falling down.
We got one David Sills. You have the Tennessee. Well, it's 5, so we can go through quickly. First one, Titans, horrible. Can't have that. That's definitely the worst of the bunch. David Sills falling down versus the Cowboys. 2 versus the Lions. The Hutchinson one dropping back. And then he missed on the 4th down. He overthrew Cager on the 4th down. And then last week versus the Vikings, where he made the right decision, just put it behind Hodgins a little bit. So again, on those plays, there's 2 bad decisions. And one is like, Hutchinson dropped back into coverage and he didn't see him. But there's 2 out of his 5 interceptions, 2 were just bad decisions.
Yeah.
2 were misses, and then 1 was wide receiver error.
Which, in an offense that isn't explosive, putting up 30 points every game and getting 5, 6, 7 plays of 20 plus yards every single game, you need to play almost perfect. You need to. When you don't have those 20 plus yard plays, and when you have an interception rate that's around 1%, I think now it's maybe 1.5%. It's like among the league's best. That's exactly what you got to do. And, Jones, even today, I know, Bobby, you're going through some season stats. I mean, his EPA per play today, or, yesterday versus the Colts, was in the 96th percentile. His CPOE was in the 91st percentile. So even the advanced stuff, which a lot of people like to point at the box score, well, Jones didn't have 300 passing yards. He didn't light up the box score. In the areas in which elite quarterbacks are elite in every week, Daniel Jones was elite in those areas. So, yeah, keep going on Daniel Jones.
Well, and then today, like, the rushing. Like, he's been the Giants' leading rusher in 3 out of the last 7 games. He has 707 rushing yards on the year, which is 5th most out of all quarterbacks. 7 rushing touchdowns on the year, which is 3rd most of all quarterbacks. Like, so we talked about it probably a month ago on a mailbag podcast, and people took it as a slight. We're like, I don't think Daniel Jones has improved on a ton. He's just finally got good coaching, who knows how to use him, and
Which
he's
matters.
playing,
Yes.
playing well. Here's the one area, and people will say pocket manipulation, where I think he got a lot. I think he improved on that a lot in 2021. But now with this offense, now that has some more horizontal, parts to its game plan and not stationary isolation routes. The area where he's improved to me is creating in the pocket, not maneuvering the pocket, but creating in the pocket. Like
you see it in the red zone.
Yeah, and again, the last couple of weeks, the touchdown to Hodgins today, man, like that was beautiful. So like the running game got him down there. Then they had the penalty by Nick Gates. We have 2nd and goal at the 17. Gets that quick throw to Richie James, and then, like you said, steps up in the pocket, runs out to the right, finds Richie James, touchdown. Difference between 7 and 3 points.
In years past, you get that penalty, Nick Gates gets that penalty. That was already a somewhat difficult, blank into goal situation just because the Giants were setting up like past the 5-yard line. And then Nick Gates gets, I believe it was a 2nd and 4, 3rd and 4, or something like that. And then Gates gets that, tripping penalty or whatever. In years past, the drive's over. We're thinking 3 points. They wound up with 7 points, which is incredible.
Well, we're the number 6 red zone offense in the NFL. You know what we were last year? The number 32. You know what we were the year before? Number 31.
And it wasn't close. It wasn't close.
And they're able to produce in the red zone. Today they had 7 drives today, Justin. 4 touchdown drives, 1 field goal. Ooh, how come they couldn't get it in for 7 there? Well, that was at the end of the half, where they got the ball back with 38 seconds left on the other side, and DJ gets them into field goal range.
And they faced 7 third downs too, which, man, is that a testament to an offense that's moving the ball well? I mean, shocker. I mean, the last time the Giants as a team scored over 30 points was October 11th, 2020. The last time the Giants offense scored over 30 points was December 22nd, 2019. So there were there were a lot of records that were kind of broken today. Giants going to the playoffs, Giants offense scoring over 30 points, Giants as a team scoring over 30 points. So a lot of things were going right, but still 7 third downs faced. They were popping, man. They were going off. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I went to go look at the third down stats because the DJ had some nice, like, the Bellinger third down catch. And that's why you like a guy like Bellinger. It's like, that's just a tough, like, box out the safety, get your hands out there, catch that ball away from your body. And I saw, like, when I saw they're playing man coverage, I was like, hit Bellinger on the sit route. Hit Bellinger on the sit route. Gets him. Converts that. He also had one on his legs. But like you said, like, I was like, oh, the third down stats aren't, like, they don't pop out at you because they didn't face third down a lot in this game. They just did well when they did get put in those situations. Also, that Richie James touchdown was on third down. But so again, like I was talking about with the drives, like 4 touchdowns, a field goal, a fumble by Darius Slayton, and then that punt on the first drive of the game, the punt where again they missed a DPI on Hodgins. It wasn't like Hodgins got yanked a little. Like the linebacker just ran straight into Hodgins while the ball's in the air. So it's not even like a judgment call. It's like, no, that is like defense. That's defensive pass interference by a mile. So again, he played essentially perfect. And if we're looking at the whole season right now, he does not miss throws. Obviously, there's going to be missed throws in games, but for the most part, you look at other quarterback play, he does not miss throws. He doesn't make mistakes. He does not make mistakes with where he's going with the football. And he's manipulating the pocket and he's creating plays with his legs. Where you remember those first 2 games of the year where you looked at the stats and they weren't bad, but it's like he's got to like keep his eyes up. Like he's just running, and he's changed that as the year went along.
Yep.
Got more comfortable in the offense, and you're seeing the fruits of it.
Yeah, which he's finally gotten comfortable with some receivers too, which that's huge. I mean, Richie James and him have always had a pretty solid connection, but I think that's gotten even better as the season has gone on. Isaiah Hodgins has added some nuances to his route running that a Giants wide receiver hasn't had this year. And Darius Slayton is, still having like a career year in the sense of he's extremely efficient and, he does some good stuff yards after the catch. I know he had a relatively quiet game. That throw, by the way, I don't want to forget this. Darius Slayton's only catch today. Daniel Jones, was that at the end of the first half?
Well, he had the fumble on one catch. And then
there was another catch that he had. I thought he only had one catch. There was
2 catches.
2 catches. So the catch that he didn't fumble on, DJ was getting tackled. He was about to get sacked.
Oh, yes, getting tackled, and he threw the ball while he was going to the ground. Like, that was a nice throw.
Awesome. I mean, out of all the throws and all the plays that happened today, I thought that was easily the most impressive play, because the dude is literally getting tackled and sacked. He's going to the ground, and he throws it not only a little bit down the field, throws it towards the sidelines and past the sticks, first down Giants. That was
You could hear the crowd cheering through the TV.
Oh, yeah.
When that play happened. Like,
that was awesome.
You could
awesome
tell the crowd really appreciated that play.
All right, Bobby, do you have anything else on Jones? Because I kind of want to talk about coaching, and I want to bring up like some different scenarios of what this Giants team has had to go through. Because while Daniel Jones is having this, obviously the career year, a little bit of a breakout year, led the Giants to the playoffs. We're excited to see him in the playoffs because I feel like he really deserves it. The dude's got guts. Do you have anything else to say on Jones? Because I do want to give the coaching the props that it deserves.
I want to talk about the wide receivers later on, but so that'll have some indirect DJ. But go with what you're saying, because
I kind of do want to talk about the wide receivers right now, because I have like 3 different main scenarios, and feel free to add to it if you think of anything else.
Okay, go for it.
So the Giants are going to the playoffs. If you were to tell me that in the month of September. So here's what has to happen, right? During the 2022 season. Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, and Sterling Shepard, at least 2 of them have to be healthy and contributing, right? No. None of that is true, which is such a crazy, wild thing to think about. And again, this is a show, this is a moment, this is a game where I can't help but just reflect on how far this team has come, and thinking about what we were thinking in August and September about if this Giants team is going to be successful. This is what has to happen. XYZ has to happen. And probably the number one thing is Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, 2 out of those 3 guys have to be contributing and healthy. And none of them are. None of them.
No, and what they've gotten out of the wide receiver room has just been ability to be relied on, in a sense. Like, that's why Isaiah Hodgins has been such a huge addition. We talked about him a lot last week, because he had his biggest game. But it's like he's not adding some amazing like wide receiver ability to the room. What he's adding is just solid route running and being trustworthy at the stem and just good timing, right? Like that's what Hodgins is like. He's getting those slants and he's being able to make some tough catches in contested areas and tough contested catches because he doesn't separate, and DJ's not afraid to throw those in there. So, like, you just added some reliability. Where Marcus Johnson, there was no reliability, just a speed element you had to trust. David Sills out there, I mean, he's just not an athlete. He's not the athlete to play in the NFL. And then Golladay, it's like Golladay couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. And then, Toney, when he was out there, Toney never even really got out there for the Giants this year.
Right.
But even then, it's like there's some, like, you can't trust him with some of the more diverse, like, more complex option routes and stuff. So, like, him, and then Richie James has just been solid in the slot, Like, I think like Richie James' production of catching 81.4% of his passes, that's a Daniel Jones stat. The same with Hodgins, 78.5% passes with DJ, and then Bellinger. Like, we like Bellinger. Like, we just need, like, what we've always asked for the tight ends with Daniel Jones. Maybe if we had Josh Allen, we maybe want, like, the speedier tight end would be a bigger advantage for the Giants. But with Daniel Jones, like, just give us a solid, reliable guy. A guy who can block and can make tough catches and contest in the check down areas in the middle of the field. Well, he's catching 86% of his passes on the year. And you saw that today with the throw down the sideline, good catch, and then that third down conversion. Like, that's what we want out of you guys. And DJ is making the most out of a very lackluster wide receiver room.
I'm trying to find the replay right now. Was that Daniel Bellinger 24-yard catch the same play that they ran against the Vikings where he fumbled, where Bellinger was lined up in the backfield? Or was it a crosser where he was lined up as like a conventional tight end?
I leaked out. I gotta relook at that. But no, I don't remember exactly. But I think he was kind of more on a wheel route because he was kind of going up the sideline. So I think he was maybe like leaking out a little bit instead of just a crosser out of the backfield.
Wait, I have it right here. I'm going to find out. He was lined up as a fullback again. He didn't necessarily go from right to left because he was kind of lined up in the I formation, just straight on. He wasn't like offset, but it was the same thing as the Minnesota game. Lined up in the backfield with the hand in the dirt as a fullback, and then up that left sideline. I love Mike Kafka and Brian Dable. I love them.
Yeah, they've done a very good job, and they again, we talked about it before. They had to readjust.
Yeah, like they had a rough stretch. They had a rough stretch where they were grounded and pounded too much, relying on Saquon Barkley, but they
play action.
But why we loved them to start the season is their ability to adjust with what they're given to the strengths of their team. They did that in the beginning of the season with Saquon Barkley, the explosive plays, but now they've done it, and it didn't take them an off season to figure it out. It took them in season. A little bit of a losing stretch, but when it mattered most, they won some games that's going to get them in the playoffs, and now I feel like they have some really, really positive offensive momentum heading into the playoffs too, which is really, really key.
Yeah, they went from like handing the ball off and play action was working amazing, and DJ was doing it perfectly. Saquon Barkley was balling, and then that stopped working. Teams were playing the play action very well. The run game was just stopped working. Well, guess what? These last few weeks, they've went to more shotgun, just putting the offense in Daniel's hands and running the ball. Running the ball, not like you got to feed Saquon Barkley. Running the ball like we're going to run the ball when it's smart, and it's led to, again, Saquon Barkley had 12 carries today for you would think a game the Giants blew out a team. Saquon get 26, 27 carries because that's what he was getting earlier in the year. We blew out a team or had a safe lead. He's getting 25 to 30 carries in a game. Well, this game he only had 12 carries, but guess what? 58 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. So not sexy, but it was efficient and it helped get the ball down the field. That first touchdown drive, they had 5 carries for 45 yards, got them down to the 21. Then a couple negative runs, and then so they got down to the 21-yard line. How did they get in the red zone or in the end zone? Well, at the 21-yard line, that Daniel Jones went 3 for 3 for 29 yards and a touchdown after that. That has to do with penalties, and they were not running the ball well down there. But that the running game got them down there. They were playing from light boxes or rolling the safety down late, so they got some good runs. And again, running when it makes sense and it's becoming efficient.
Yeah, man. See that Richie James flip? That was pretty sick.
Yeah, Craig. Part of me is like, don't do that. I love it. Don't do that though. We need you. We don't have another slot option.
If you were to make a power ranking of the five most important offensive players on the Giants, I'm pretty sure Richie James would be in the top 5. Daniel Jones, Andrew Thomas, Saquon Barkley, 1, 2, 3.
You can do it either or on Slayton or Hodgins. I just think Daniel Jones will always handle the slot position well.
Okay.
All these guys are important now, but Richie James, despite having a huge third down drop last week, they showed the stat earlier in the game. They showed the stat in the beginning of the game that he has the second highest catch rate of any receiver in the NFL.
With the minimum of 50 catches.
50 targets.
Yeah.
Well, he went 7 catches, 7 targets this game. So again, I think that's more of a Daniel Jones stat than Richie James. Richie James has always been a punt returner for the 49ers for a long time, and that's what he was supposed to be for the Giants.
No, don't diminish him like that. Guess who was on? I was on specifically the Richie James train all spring, all summer. Same Madden rating as Andrew Thomas. Never forget.
That is true. He was the same.
Yeah, 76.
Here's the thing, though. As much as Richie James has done very well for his role, he's also screwed the Giants in a couple games, too.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. We're in the playoffs.
So
Bobby, take a second here. Your brain works in wonderful ways of you want to analyze, you want to talk, you want to break down. We're in the playoffs, man. We're in the playoffs.
Now I want to win the playoffs. My mind there's not a second of me that's it's just good to be back. There's not a second of me that thinks that. You know why I think it's good to be back? Because I want Daniel Jones to win in the playoffs. And I won't be happy with just 1 win. I want 2 wins. And then I want
Then you want 3.
But when you look back at this season, that for them to get to this point is pretty remarkable.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts. And it really does affirm. I do think the most important thing in the NFL is coaching. I really do. This Giants, I think everybody can agree for the most part. There are cornerstone pieces of this franchise. Dexter Lawrence, Hey, do we say Daniel Jones? Do we say Saquon Barkley? But Andrew Thomas for sure. There are cornerstone pieces of this franchise for sure. But still, it's coaching that has elevated this team. That like literally December and January, especially December over the last 2 years. Forget winning games. We're not even sure if the Giants are going to go in and score points. We don't even know if the Giants are going to score an offensive touchdown. I was putting in I remember doing a poll over the last three weeks of the season last year, saying, will the Giants score 2 offensive touchdowns? And they barely got it. They it was the final game of the season, and they barely got that second offensive touchdown. QB sneak. I hate to just bring it up, but the 2 QB sneaks. I don't particularly always just love to talk about that, but the 2 QB sneaks. That's the Giants were a national embarrassment. They were a national embarrassment. They weren't just bad. They were a national embarrassment in the NFL. Fast forward here, and we're back.
Yeah, and that's why, we're all this excited, and it's well, they beat the Colts. But there's two reasons why we're so excited. One, this is kind of like a season-long, we made the playoffs podcast. But what did we say on the preview pod, Justin? We went into this game the Giants are going to win because the Colts offense can't hang. Let's just be real. The Colts offense can't hang. They're too bad. They're too bad to win this game. The Giants would have to royally screw up on offense. But we're doesn't matter. Go for their throat. Play offense and do your best to score as many points as possible. And that's exactly what they did. And again, this Colts defense is not as bad as people would think because of how bad their offense is. Now, there's something to be said for players probably being a little checked out for the season for them.
But take advantage of it. That's this Giants team should
they're not
take
talented
advantage.
enough to not just go to take advantage. So again, this was as much as you want to be it's the Colts. There's a lot of pressure. This Giants team still is not that talented, and they went in a game where winning in. A lot of guys have not been in this situation in the NFL. We got a lot of big time players who Dex never been to the playoffs. Leo never been to the playoffs.
That's
Daniel
crazy.
Jones, Saquon Barkley.
Who has been to the playoffs?
Our wide receiver core, is Slayton and Hodgins, and then a punt returner from San Francisco.
Jahad Ward. I feel like some of the defensive players have been to the playoffs.
Adoree Jackson,
Jalen Smith. That might be it.
Yeah, that is it.
Love it. This is why it's so important too. This is why it's so important. If you think that some of these guys are going to be here for a few years, Kayvon, Aziz, no matter how many games it is in the playoffs, getting in the playoffs and getting this experience, I think is so invaluable. So I'm so pumped to do it. I'm so pumped that we did it. I'm so pumped again that we did it at home. I'm pumped that we were there to witness it. And today was just really an awesome day. So Landon Collins. We'll
talk about him in a second. We're going to talk about Landon Collins. Hell of a game for him. First, this episode. Well, one of our sponsors for this episode is it's us. It's us. The Talking Giants crew will be having a watch party live stream on the 14th or 15th floor at Mr. Purple in NYC. We can finally say it. We're saying it out loud. Seriously, come on out. We have at this point we have plenty of tickets left. I know we don't know the exact day that the game is going to be yet, but just buy your tickets and come on out. It's $20. Now, if you want to eat and drink there, you obviously have to pay for that on your own, but it's $20 to get in. We made that price as cheap as possible for us, to be able to get that space. We're not making any profit off of this. We just wanted to do it. So we're going to be out there. I think other John Boy Media employees will be there too. But, come out, support. This is, again, Giants going to be on the road. Come, I think this will be very fun. If you are a Talking Giants fan, this is something where it's you're not going to want to miss it, right, Justin?
No, never, no. And I was talking with some people today at our tailgate, and then we went to the Candlewick Diner after the game too. I was talking with some people at our tailgate. They know Mr. Purple, and they know the venue that we're going to, Mr. Purple. They said that it is awesome. And I mean, how many places are there to go in New York City? And the fact that I just mentioned...
crazy. And I'm going to jump in the pool.
Bobby's going to jump in the pool if we win. If we win, and then if we lose, I may jump in the pool.
We'll just throw Justin in.
Yeah, we'll throw me in. I would love that.
I'm going to... We're going to have fun there. And I made sure when I said that when they were looking for a place for us, I was like, let them know we want to get a little rowdy. So come ready to get a little rowdy. We're not going to trash the place or anything, but we're going to get rowdy.
So we're going to put the details in the description. We're going to put the link to buy tickets in the description, so that's where you can go. You want to be here. When we're going to be watching the playoffs, we're going to stream. We're going to have a watch party. We're going to have speakers, so you'll be able to hear us too while we stream. And then obviously during commercial breaks and stuff like that. I know Bobby may want to be stayed in and locked in and focused, but I definitely want to be going in the crowd, hanging out with people and, watching with all you. So it's not just going to be us streaming and then all you hanging out. We're going to be all integrated and we're all going to be hanging out together. So link in the description.
Oh, I'm going to be Chris Farley in the thing. Like, I'm going to be going nuts. So I'm excited. Like, I got to remember, like, take ibuprofen before because you're going to get a headache as crazy, as wild as I am pumped. Like, there's so much energy in me that's ready to just burst.
Yeah, you get a little headache when you're screaming a little bit.
Yep, and I'm going to be screaming a ton. All right, so make sure to come out, Mr. Purple, NYC. 14th or 15th floor. Actually, let me just clear that up right now.
Clear it up.
It's a great view too. Like
it's a beautiful view of the city.
If you're like proud of your Instagram, like 14th floor. This is going to be an Instagram day. Mm-hmm. Instagram. All right, Justin. I talked about why the Colts offense was never going to be able to hang, and they couldn't. But the key play for me on defense. Like, their only offense generated was off of a heave to Paris Campbell that he caught. Was
that Cordell Flott in coverage, or was it Zion Gilbert?
No, it was Xavier McKinney.
Oh, excuse me.
Talking about the 50-yarder?
Yeah, I thought I saw an 8 in there.
No.
You may know better than me.
McKinney was the one that was on him, but it was into, like, double coverage. But I might have even been Fabian Moreau on him. Or Zion.
Could have been anybody in the secondary. That's the moral of the story.
By the way, Jeff Saturday. It's 4th and 1. You're getting ready to run the play. Nothing to lose. And with 1 second left, call timeout. Like, never mind, I'm going to kick a field goal. Like, that is the... I hate talking about situational coaching because I think it, like, diminishes, like, 95% of the 95 most important part of the job, and it's just something that's easy for people to talk about that don't know actually know football. But that's like you are in the 99th percentile of bad situational coaching doing that.
I mean, especially 36 inches when the Giants have one of the worst run defenses in the league. That's what makes it worse.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, Jeff Saturday. But the play of the day for the defense, man, it's 14-3. And in my mind, I'm like, let's get the ball back. Let's get the ball back. And not only did we get the ball back, we get 6 points off of it immediately. Because Landon Collins, man, he broke on an out route and returned it for 6. And I was like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. Yeah. Like, I cannot believe we're clinching a playoff game before halftime and Landon Collins is going for a pick 6.
That felt like a full circle moment. I didn't really treat the Landon Collins signing. I know some people did as like, reaching out to like, the 2016 Giants and some of, towards like, going back even to the Coughlin days and stuff like that. I didn't really look at that Landon Collins signing as trying to bridge the gap between what the Giants were and then, the bad Giants and trying to, renew it. I didn't really view it as that, but I did feel that. I felt a little bit of nostalgia in that moment, knowing like, wow, like look at how far we've come.
Well, it just brings some experience and aggressiveness to the defense. And again, we're not expecting him to make... But he's made a play or two in coverage every game.
Why not, man? It's even like that. Think back to that Jacksonville game. Jacksonville play. He hasn't really been given a lot of opportunities out there, Bobby, but the Jacksonville game, he made like a 3rd down tackle, a 3rd down stop. And what's been really impressive about Landon Collins over the last 2 weeks specifically, he has made 2 really, really good plays and coverage. When what was the whole thing and the whole frustration point with Landon Collins when he left the Giants and why, he doesn't deserve all that money? It's because we criticized him in coverage. We knew that he was a very, very good run defender. We knew he could play the box, but he had an awesome pass deflection on TJ Hawkinson, and then he jumped on that ball today, ran up the left sideline, 6 points for the Giants. That basically sealed the game, and the game was over 21-3. And I think that was maybe the second second touchdown that we scored that quarter. So awesome stuff from Landon Collins in the areas in which we weren't sure that he would be strong in.
Yeah, and it could be like for me, I think it might be a case of it's like we haven't seen good play from like this position, this linebacker role. But yeah, he's going out there and doing his job well with it. The other guy that we talked, hold on, I need some edit this out. Hold on.
Well, how about this? Instead of Bobby Skinner taking a little bit of break, instead of editing, I'm going to read a DraftKings ad because we got to do that. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. It's my go-to when betting on the NFL this season and this postseason. I may be betting on the Giants. Bring on Minnesota. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out right now. Everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets, like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. The more legs you add, the bigger the boosts, the bigger your shot to win. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WORLD. New code this year. New year, new code. That's what they always say. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WORLD. Talking Giants versus the world. Use promo code WORLD when you sign up for DraftKings. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Bobby, what did you need to go do?
Nothing.
Wow.
I was surprised our code is world instead of violence because we are a culture of violence. And my gosh, did that come out today. Kayvon Thibodeau.
Good transition.
Kayvon Thibodeau, man. And again, this play got us the ball back, and one, it saved us a timeout. Even though I don't think we ended up having to use it. But it saved the Giants a timeout. When they went to go down and kick a field goal, Kayvon Thibodeau sacks Nick Foles and injures him. By the way, that was an untouched sack, but speed off the edge matters and that type of stuff, and so he did a good job on it. But the first play of the game is the play of the game for Kayvon. It's like Kayvon jacks up that tackle, gets inside, tackle for a loss. And that sets the tone for the game. Like, you are not running the ball on us with ease. Our playmakers up front on the D-line are going to make plays. And that's something that Kayvon was not doing earlier in the season.
I thought this was his best. That type of stuff. I thought this was his best game against the run this year. No doubt.
And he just, again, jacked him up. He had another tackle for a loss. Then, Nick Foles is, dying on the ground. And Kayvon Thibodeau not only is celebrating next to him, the longest sack celebration I've ever seen in my entire life. I timed it. It was over 11 seconds, and he did 10...
Snow Angels.
Snow Angles.
Snow Angles.
Or Snow Angles, as I tweeted.
Yep. Video got 2 million views, and you tweeted out Snow Angles.
That's one of those things that everyone understands. Everyone knows the difference between angles and angels, but it's just whenever you type it out, it's just... your mind goes to angles.
Yeah, it's like me saying net negative and net zero. Yeah,
it's not totally the same. Carl Banks, but
Kayvon Thibodeau committed murder. Nick Foles legit had a seizure, and he didn't. Snow
legit.
Angels.
You can't say legit here. He didn't actually have a seizure. He just hurt his ribs.
He looked like he was Julian. He looked like he was having a seizure.
Yeah, but that's not legit. He looked like he was having a seizure.
Julian.
I saw him. I was dying because it looked like he was having a seizure, and I was just looking at my roommate, just this guy is doing Snow Angels. He has no idea the dude next to him is just compulsing,
and he wouldn't stop. That's the thing. It's not like he was celebrating next to him. No, it's like Kayvon. And again, I'm not blaming Kayvon. He's just celebrating. Even if he did see him towards the end, I'm not going to lose my mind over that, anyways.
This is the second time Kayvon Thibodeau retweeted us this year. What was that video and that edit that you made, Bobby?
It's the Patrice O'Neal stand-up of him talking about football in his days, where it's he's now when someone gets injured, they all pray for him. He's like, not in my day. He's like, we used to chant he got. I mean, I could play the clip.
I also don't think people realize, but every football team at every level, like the entire team is pumped up when you knock someone out. Even if on TV and in slow-mo, like it could be seen as dirty, like the whole team is hyped for you when you hit a crazy hit and the dude is unconscious. I mean, that is football.
And Nick Foles was okay. It was just a rib injury. And Kayvon
Was it
didn't do
rib
anything
injury?
dirty, you know. So like, I'm a big. I think you can celebrate that. You know, that's football. Like so.
Somebody when I play, if you hit somebody
So
and he didn't get up,
I just put this clip. Great editing. What do we even pay Julian to do?
Yeah.
Of all like the play, and it shows like Kayvon making the sleep signal on the sideline, and like him on the cart. And I just
like when we hit somebody when I played, if you hit somebody and he didn't get up, like we didn't hold hands with the other team and pray, like hold hands and everyone prays for him to get up. We used to do a Indian, like sell a hump dance circle around, like yeah, look at you. Be like, and our crowd's like, he's paralyzed. That's right. We be looking for his mother crying. Be like, that's right, lady. That's what you get for letting him out here with killers. He can't even wiggle his toes. Take his socks. Take his socks. We would tie his socks around our helmet for the next week. Like the next team, they knew, oh, that's the team that be.
so just I mean that's just an all-time stand. Like everyone knows that stand-up clip.
Kayvon Thibodeau retweeted it, and he agreed.
Yeah, he's like y'all crazy. Then he deleted that, and then he just did an actual retweet of it. A lot of people being like scumbag retweet. It's like, you know, it's football.
And he's okay.
But and that's the thing. Nick Foles is okay, so you can laugh about it now. Like if Nick Foles was like actually like hurt seriously, like no one's laughing about that. But I just after the game, I was just laughing to myself, being like Nick Foles is dying right next to him, and Kayvon Thibodeau is doing the longest sack celebration I've ever seen in my entire life.
And that was insane that they didn't like give him a flag.
It was over 10 seconds. It was 10. He did the snow angel 10 times. Like before I even realized Nick Foles was that hurt, I was like, "Is this celebration?" Like Kayvon just won't stop this celebration. It was again, like I said, it was one of the. Even if Nick Foles didn't get hurt, it's one of the funniest sack celebrations ever because he just won't stop. It's the longest one I've ever seen in my life.
There you go.
So,
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Culture of violence.
Culture of violence.
Speaking of culture of violence on the defense too, we can hit up with some other points. Dexter Lawrence just totally manhandled Quentin Nelson and then essentially tackled Quentin Nelson and Sam Ehlinger at the same time. 7.5 sacks for the guy who's not a pass rusher. People said before, not a pass rusher. He's a 2-down player. Yeah, okay. Pro bowler. Could maybe possibly even be all pro this year.
28 QB hits now. He had 3 QB hits today. He's got 28 on the season. Remember how good Leonard Williams' 2020 season was? That was 30 QB hits. So Dexter Lawrence, we'll see what they do with him next week. If he gets 2 more QB hits, he gets to that really
it's an extra game, you know.
Yeah, 2020, was that still 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not the same. I'll say this. I will say this. Leonard Williams' season overall was probably like better, but on a down out basis, Dexter Lawrence plays better than Leonard Williams did in 2020. Now, part of that is playing the nose tackle position because Dex is not doing this at the 3 tech or the 5 tech spot. But nonetheless, like he is more of like a presence than Leonard Williams was.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. I think it's more impressive too, just to have that down in, down out presence, and to also put up those numbers, those pressure numbers, those QB hit numbers. It's absolutely incredible what he's been able to do.
And finally, like his sack celebration was not as appreciated in previous years because he only got like 4 sacks a year. Now finally, it's like okay, the Dexter Lawrence sack, the sexy Dexy sack is getting appreciated. Yep. You know, he's saying sexy Dexy as when he announces himself on Sunday Night Football. But okay, Dexter Lawrence is finally getting the appreciation that he's due. McKinney dropped an interception. He's not going to be able to catch very well. But you did see the plays he was able to make from whether it's from too high or center field. It's like, okay, that's the difference that McKinney makes.
Yep.
Where other guys are, even Pinnock's a really good athlete. He's just late. He's just late. Where McKinney sees that stuff and he's able to bite on it. So having him back will be good. I wish Adoree could have played in this game just to get some reps under him. So he's no one that I think needs to play versus Eagles. Can't just have him go out there fresh versus the playoffs.
Yeah.
My only really negative takeaway from this game, Justin, is that I still am very much worried about Darnay Holmes. Like, we had a quarterback who couldn't get the ball outside the numbers, but Darnay Holmes is just like, he consistently gets beat in man coverage.
It looks like good coverage that first drive. Now, I couldn't tell. I was sitting in 315. Looked like he was kind of on. Was it an obvious hold? Obvious hold?
Yeah, he held.
Okay.
Now, Flott has played pretty well on the outside. Like I said, like that, him dropping that interception was a shame. Not because, well, it's a shame because that would have been an interception. They ended up scoring a touchdown. But it was a great coverage play, and we think of it as a negative play but that was great coverage that he made. Jerome Henderson was really talking about it too. That where Cordell Flott was a slot corner at LSU. You get Adoree Jackson back, I really think you just got to put Flott in the slot. I know he hasn't been playing there this year. He's been playing on the outside, and it's not the easiest thing. But I just think, and Flott worries me in run defense, where Darnay, despite his frame, actually can play run defense pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a huge part of the defense, but I think you got to play Flott in the slot.
Flott in the slot. I don't think they've put Cordell Flott in a lot of compromising situations this year. I've tried to rewatch games in all 22, and I really don't do this super often, but Cordell Flott has been the one rookie this year that's gotten playing time that a lot of fans just haven't talked about. What kind of rookie year is Cordell Flott having? And I've tried to go back and rewatch games, and I just don't see the Giants really putting him in situations where Cordell Flott really has to lock down his man here, make a play here, take care of his business here. I think they've been trying to really help him out whenever he has been in the game. I think he's at 2 games of 41 snaps this year. It was against the Vikings this past week, and then maybe against the Panthers or a game earlier, very early in the season, he had 41 snaps. So I don't think they're going to make that abrupt of a change at slot corner, because I don't agree with this, but they have put Darnay Holmes more than a few times this year in those compromising tough situations where he's playing man coverage and he's got to lock down. He just hasn't been able to.
Yeah, he's played. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, because that's something that I think they should. Because Flott's he's longer, he's better in man coverage.
I think they would be more likely to go to Zion Gilbert than Flott.
What makes you say that?
Because Zion Gilbert's actually played in the slot more than Cordell Flott this year. Just having a position change like that.
Then I would just keep Darnay at that point, though.
Then I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
We'll see. Jalen Smith actually made some decent plays today, despite the...
Oh, that sack, no sack was terrible.
So, there was a lot of defense of him, of being like, the rules are rules. My answer to that would be tackle with your eyes. Or just wrap up. Wrap up.
Him. Don't let go.
Yeah, you don't have to. No one said that you had to drive his ass into the dirt. But you could at least just wrap up and. I don't know. It's
the rules.
This is
Jalen
Monday.
Smith.
This is Monday morning quarterbacking, but he did think Foles was getting the ball out. There's actually I am going to defend him a little bit. At what point would you ever think Foles was why would Foles tuck that ball? You know what I mean? So I kind of get it.
That's a very interesting scenario to care about the rules when Jalen Smith is the king of doing the RKO coming out of nowhere when the play is over and just jumping on a pile. Very interesting scenario to care about the rules when there's so many times you could be flagged anyway. I just don't like him. I don't want that to. And I think Gerard Davis, who we didn't talk about much, I think he the nugget came out from the beat that the Giants were trying to get Gerard Davis for a month, and he thought the Lions were gonna end up signing him, and they didn't. So he joined the Giants. So I think Gerard Davis might be he's gonna play next week. I really do believe that. Let's do it.
We'll see.
Next week is the time to do it. Game doesn't matter for the Giants.
Yeah. So we'll see. But so as much as I want to be I'm going to put Jalen's got to make a play there, but I also I do understand the context behind it because again, Nick Foles is not Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Josh Allen. When he sees someone coming right down the pipe at him and he goes back to throw, there's no part of your brain that's like he's gonna keep this. So just kind of gave him a little hit. But at the same time, like Jalen Smith does have a bad habit of when he's rushing the passer, like not wrapping up and using his like elbows, like rushing with his forearms, and like he'll pass rush with his forearms instead of his hands. So there's that. All right. Anything else? And we could talk about quick little scenario talk.
So I wrote out 3 situations like I did with so the Giants are going to the playoffs, so these things have to go right. The 2 situations, the biggest ones that I thought of on the defensive side of the ball, you could probably add a lot more. The Giants are going to the playoffs. So, Adoree Jackson and Aaron Robinson basically have been healthy all year. No. Like, that was what we were saying over the summer, right, Bobby? Aaron Robinson has to be healthy. Adoree Jackson, much more important, but has to be healthy. And they were not.
Nope.
And the second one, wow, the Giants are going to the playoffs, and this is the biggest one. Blake Martinez must be back and balling out.
And it's kind of wild that this defense has been able to operate with as bad as the run defense has been. Yep. Pretty much consistently after week 1. Now, but even like the Colts had some success. No, they weren't able to sustain any success in the run game. But the only thing is, so let's talk about scenarios is like who we could play. So right now we play the Vikings. That's who I want to play. Because here's the thing, is part of me, Justin, wants to play Brock Purdy, right?
No.
But the 49ers defense is so much better than the Vikings. And I've seen Kyle Shanahan just run the ball every play in a playoff game.
He will destroy Jalen Smith and Micah McFadden.
That's the thing, is I can see, and again, their run offense is not what it was back then. But I think versus the Giants, they would very much just really sustain stuff running the ball down the field on them. So I think I'm rooting for the Vikings. Now there's a scenario they could play the Cowboys. That's the scenario. Like that's the team I don't want to play the most. We talk about it as much as the Cowboys are, to me, are fraudulent when it comes to are they Super Bowl contenders. They with the Giants, it's just they are just a horrible matchup with talent and what they do offensively. That being said, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. Like I said, Justin, you said like you told me to like celebrate. I can't. Like my mind is like, all right, win a playoff game. Let's go. Let's win.
I want Minnesota. I want Minnesota bad. And the reason why I want Minnesota bad, number one, I do want revenge because that game last week still hurts me. Should have won that game. Should have, could have, would have, whatever. But I know we can beat them. And I know if we go back to Minnesota when they've already had that vibe, they've already had, the ability to communicate on offense. They had their most explosive offensive day in Minnesota. They already experienced that. Plus getting Adoree Jackson back, plus getting Xavier McKinney back, plus Azeez Ojulari maybe can play for an entire half. Plus, maybe they're resting some guys week 18, guys that need to be rested, maybe like Leonard Williams, maybe like Azeez. They could be ready to rock and roll and play Minnesota, and I think they will beat them.
That's the thing, man. Is one beating the Colts so badly they were able to rest. Like Azeez barely played in this game. I think he had 7 snaps.
Yeah, but did he get hurt?
I think he just rested him because he didn't start the game. They brought him in towards in the middle of that first drive.
All right, I was just hoping that when he left that he didn't get hurt. And then also I think Leonard Williams got like a stinger too, but that he should be a guy that I don't think they should play Leo next week. They just should sit him.
But again, you get Adoree back, you get McKinney back with another week off with rust. This next game does not matter for the Giants, so they can do what makes sense. Dable made it seem like he's not going to just go all out rest versus the Eagles.
Weiss, NYG Daily phrased it as, I was talking with him today, we were hanging out, treat it like the 3rd preseason game.
Yeah, I can see that. And again, like you said, wait, no, I would treat it like a preseason game, not the 3rd preseason. Because the 3rd preseason game, you don't even play guys.
Oh, well, I was going off of if there are 4 preseason games. So I guess now it would be the 2nd preseason game, not the 3rd preseason game.
I guess teams treat it differently, where Judge treated the 3rd preseason game like the old 3rd preseason game. Dable treated the 2nd preseason game like the 3rd preseason game. Bring back 4 preseason games, damn it. The season should be over right now. The playoffs should be next week.
What do you guys think the line is for this game next week?
That's actually a really good question. I was wondering the same thing at Candlewick.
What do you think, Justin? I've got it.
I think it's Eagles minus 6.5.
It is 14.
Whoa.
Whoa. So is Jalen Hurts must be like a must to be back then?
I think it's just the Eagles need a win for the 1 seed, and the Giants have nothing to play for.
Fantasy draft will be interesting next week.
Fantasy draft will be interesting
Just
next
another
week.
bad week this week.
Oh,
Yeah, Jelani Woods.
Should have taken Michael Pittman, huh?
Or one of the Giants receivers.
Or one of the Giants receivers. Richie James. I love him. Should have taken him second overall.
All right.
Tough. Wait, whoa. We barely talked about it, but I need to talk about it more. The Giants scored 30 points today. The Giants
First
as a
time
team.
since week 5, 2020.
The
First
Giants
time
as
on
a
offense
team.
since the Andrew Thomas Bowl.
That's right. 10, 11, 20. The last time that they scored 30
You've
points as a
become
team.
kind of obsessed with the 30-point thing, so I'm very happy that like that's no longer like you're like the dog chasing the car. Like you caught it. What do you do now?
12, 22, 19 was the last time the Giants offense scored over 30 points. And somebody asked me, and I guarantee you there's a lot of people that listen to it that's like, why is Justin so obsessed with scoring over 30 points? Number one, I think it's a good way to sustain success. if you score points in the NFL, and maybe there's a couple games here where God forbid the Giants get to a shootout, maybe they can win one of those games. But also, it's just cool to score points. And the last time that the Giants scored 30 points and the last time that everybody else scored 30 points, that gap looks very different. It looked very different. Teams sometimes score 30 points by accident. The Colts a couple weeks ago scored 33 points.
In the first
Look at
half.
how bad. Look at how bad they are. Some teams score 30 points by accident. Even teams like the Texans scored 30 points by accident. And the Giants haven't even been able to do that once throughout the last 2 calendar years. So it's pretty cool that we were able to do it today and in the fashion that we did it and doing it at home too. And also, fun fact, the Giants scored 24 points in the second quarter. The last time they scored over 20 points in a single quarter, Bobby, do you know when?
No.
Julian. Famous game for you, fanboy of Odell.
No idea.
Week 15, 2015 versus the Carolina Panthers, where we came back.
Oh, okay.
We scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. But what makes this even more impressive, guys, is that the Giants scored 24 points in the second quarter, and it was in a game-neutral situation. The Giants, I'm actually going to, tomorrow, I'm going to see if I can try and find maybe the last time that the Giants scored over 20 points in a single quarter in the first half. Week 15, 2015, the Giants were down 35-7 in the fourth quarter. Or they were down 28-7. They were down by multiple scores. So they came back. Great. They needed to throw the ball. They needed explosive plays. They needed points, and they needed them fast. 24 points in the second quarter in a game and kind of like a neutral situation there. Very, very impressive. Very, very awesome. I don't care what NFL team you're playing. If you can score 24 points in a given quarter, it's pretty damn good. I'm happy. We did it. I could stop bitching about it now.
Yeah. No more reading you that stupid fun fact over and over. We've been reading it for 2 years, basically.
Yeah. I wasn't going to stop until we did it.
So we appreciate you guys. Thank you for the fun all season, but the fun is just begun. So we'll be back mailbag pod on Wednesday. Film review, O-line report should all be fun. So we will.
One more thing. I need to thank everybody since this is the last home game of the year, and I wanted to do this at the end. I didn't want to do it in the beginning. I need to thank everybody who came out to our tailgates this year, whether you said hi for one tailgate, hi for one game because you wanted to come by and you were traveling, or you were there for most of them, you were there for all of them. I really do appreciate you. We really plan on upgrading our tailgate experience next year, so it's going to be bigger, it's going to be better. I want to do Madden tournaments. I want to get catered every game. I want to have cornhole. I really want to make it a fun atmosphere. Something that I was like really thankful for. I can't believe how many strangers come to our tailgate. And, not even just talking to me, but everybody's talking with each other. And it's like, wow, this is like really, really awesome stuff. And when we talk about community and forming a community, this is what we really mean. And even going to the Candlewick Diner after the game, there was like 25 people that joined us at the Candlewick Diner. We shared a meal and we celebrated the season together. So thank you to everybody. Last home game. I always get a little bit more sentimental at the last home game rather than just the last game of the season. So thank you to everybody. We love you.
We will see you guys on Wednesday for a mailbag pod. Until then, how about that? Let's go. We're going to the playoffs. We'll see you when we see you. Until then, let's go Big Blue.